This week, I'd like to speak about something that's very, very important, extremely important. I'd like to speak about an issue that exists in the whole wide world. It's called anxiety and OCD. Now, what is anxiety and OCD? They're really two names. It's all the same, really. A lot of people struggle with OCD, and there was once a big psychologist that said everybody has OCD and anxiety. The question is to what level? But some people have severe cases, and it's very difficult to move on in life. It's very difficult. You have your issues that keep on coming up. So many psychologists, I've learned about this. Baruch Hashem, Hashem sent me a little bit of many psychologists use a form of something called CBT. Now CBT is, they teach you when all these things come up, not to delve into it, just to say, yeah, okay, whatever your issue is, let's say you have an issue let's say the door. People have this thing that they have to lock the door 30 times because they're afraid that they didn't lock it. You have to tell yourself that, okay, what's the worst? So a person will come in, steal my things, then what? Life will go, because you really know. You understand that you locked the door. You're not crazy. But the anxiety puts it into your head that, do it again. The ritual. What's interesting is, Rebbe Nachman Breslov in Torah Ayin Beis and Chelik Aleph talks about this. All psychology today, all Freud, every single psychologist that will ever tell you anything in psychology, every single thing has been found and written in Chassidus before. Because Chassidus is teaching about the neshama, the nefesh, the soul of a person. Everything in psychology is about what? The consciousness and all that. What's that? The neshama. Everything that you want to know about your neshama, you look in Likutei Moharan, you look in Tanya, you look in the Talmidei Baal Shem Tov, you look in the Kabbalah. Everything is there. What do? You don't delve into it. You tell yourself, I don't care. Lo ichpat li. That's what Nachman writes. And today's CBT, the number one line is, I don't care. Now it takes some work to get to there, but that's the way. I want to come with something I think a little different to add on. I'm not saying different. Rebbe Nachman says in Likutei Moharan and Chelik Beis, the famous Rebbe Nachman, the Rebbe Nachman says that a machshava of a person, it's a famous thing the Baal Shem Tov said that a person can't have two thoughts at one time in his brain. He only has one thought at a time. But it's a constant train. It just it never stops. So people think they can never do anything to stop, what they're thinking about, because it's just a constant train. It never stops. Even in Olam Haba, everything is das, it's knowledge. So what do you mean? The answer is, Rebbe Nachman says that in this world where you have tests and everything, how do you control your mind? You control your mind because you have, just like when a person's on a horse. What does he do? The horse, he wants to turn it to right, he hits it. He turns it right. The horse left, turns it left. That means that a person has the koach to take his machshava, hit it, put it away, and go somewhere else and bring a different machshava in. Hashem gave us the koach, and the raya they gave us the koach to think what we want is because we have a bechira. If we had no koach to think, then there will be no bechira, no free will. We have free will because we have the koach to change our thought. The Yetzer Hara tells us do this. We have the koach to say no. If we didn't have that, then there'll be no point of this whole world. The whole point of this world is to get over the tests. So I want to say is for all the people that suffer from anxieties, all their anxieties that they have, and every single one of us have, maybe from traumas that we have from our childhood, maybe from just in general. This is what Hashem wants from us, our tikkunim, our nisyonot, and everybody has it. And yes, I will say, but there are people that suffer with it very, 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 very hard. And the people that think they suffer with it, they have no idea what suffering is, because there's people that really, they don't know how to get through minute through the day. But you know what they could do? Hashem gave me the idea. And I actually asked a tremendous makubal, a tzaddik who's a tzaddik nistor, a hidden tzaddik, and I asked him if this is really what Hashem wants, and he told me 100%. I told him this is what I think what people have to do who have severe anxiety spells and severe OCD, and they can't sit and they can't do anything. What happens? What is OCD and anxiety? The thing that's bothering you, you keep on going through in your mind over and over and over and over. And you never have enough of the answer. Why? Because, what? Because you have the answer already, but it makes you think that you don't have the answer. So you could go over to 1 million people and you still don't have the answer. Because you need the millionth and the 10th person to tell you that. Until the end of the world tells you, you still won't be satisfied because you're always afraid somebody else. But in reality, you know the answer. The answer is very simple. But it's the thing that's eating you, the anxiety. It's all Yetzer Hara, obviously, we know. There's no anxiety. It's all Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Hara in this generation is very difficult. Rabbi Nachman says it's in the mind. So what do we have to do? Just like, let's say somebody has the anxiety. You know what? Some people are afraid of death and they think about it all day. All day. And they can't get on with it. They think about dying. Instead of saying, maybe just live. But to them, they can't. What do you mean? I'm going to die. I can't think about it. It's so scary. You know what the answer is? Just like you do that, put all that energy and all that OCD and anxiety and put it into your service of Hashem. I'm not telling you. What does everybody say? Get rid of your OCD and anxiety. People say, I can't get rid of it. I don't know. What do you mean? All these things, they never help. Don't get rid of it. Switch it. Start thinking your OCD all day in Torah. In the end, you'll walk around 24/7 thinking about God and in Torah. And all day you'll be with God, with Hashem. Instead of being all day if you lock the door or not. It's very difficult to get rid of something. To get rid of it's a sickness. It's a sickness people have. It's a sickness that basically the whole world has. I remember Rabbi Tversky, a big psychologist, he said that everybody has it, but obviously there's levels and so endless. But there are people that have it on a severe level. So I'm not telling you, what's my idea? Don't get rid of it. What do you mean get rid of it? All day, you're in panic. Start a little bit. In the beginning, you're going to only think about it and learning for 2 minutes, then go back. But gradually, you're going to start more, and you're going to flip it into Torah. And all day, you're going to think about a beautiful piece of Torah. And what's going to happen? What's better? What's better than bringing Torah? And the Torah that you can think about all day by itself is going to make you sweet. Because there's no such a thing that you think about Torah all day and you're not happy. When you think about Torah and it comes and it's Divrei Hashem, automatically it's sweet. It's sweetness. The Torah is sweet. It's a candy bar, ki'ilu, kaviyachol. It's the sweetest thing on earth. So if a person just realized, instead of me fighting it and trying to erase it, which is doing something that's almost impossible, what is it? Containing it, and flipping it to something that will help me really not get rid of it, but use it as a tool to make my life better. Now, if it's somebody that everybody has to find in their life, we know that the only true happiness is in avodas Hashem, serving Hashem. And not to beat yourself up, but to serve Hashem. Somebody who loves building things, that's what he should do. Everybody should take their thing they love that makes them happy and put their whole anxiety into that. And then all day they'll be with the thing that they love. That's not gonna make them sad. It's what makes them sad is the things, the stupidities that all day they go through and they don't get anywhere in life. But if the whole point of life is serving the Heilige Rebbe Shalom and learning his Torah and we have no other thing, so then just all day anxiety about a piece of Likutei Moharan. All day have OCD about a nice Torah and keep on asking this question and that. Through that, you'll understand the Torah better and it'll make your life sweeter. Because whoever learns Torah knows that Torah makes you sweeter. That's what a person has to do with all these anxieties. That's what Rebbe Nachman is telling us. Rebbe Nachman is not telling, he doesn't say to get rid of it. He says to switch the machshava. But in that machshava I'll have now. The answer is switch the machshava to a machshava that's something positive. That doesn't mean you're not going to think about that positive thought all day. But that's what you want to do is have positive thoughts all day. Who doesn't? So it's not about really being mevatel to what? To obliterating it. It's not getting rid of the OCD anxiety. You're learning how to use it to your advantage. Your advantage. Now everybody has gone through a trauma in their lives. Everybody. Because that's what Yisurim are. They're for tikkunim, and there's people who've been, and the whole world, molestation, family abuse, car crashes, divorces, drug habits. I mean, do I have to go on? I saw somewhere, in Israel, if I'm correct, 100,000 children have been molested out of Israel. Are you kidding me? How's a kid supposed to do? The answer is, you take that anxiety and you use it, you flip it into what? Into avodas Hashem. Mm-hmm. And you don't get rid of it. Because if the Rebbe Hashem gave it to you, then that means that it's there for some reason. Now, some people may say, what do you mean it's there for some reason? Hashem, it says in Priya Aretz, that Sefer Priya Aretz, it says that the Rabbeinu Shalom is mashgiach and each neshama kechut hasaira, like a little thread, meaning there's not one little tiny detail extra. So if the Rabbeinu Shalom gave you this and he sent you this person to hurt you and this, in a chanami, that person's a sick person and he has to go to jail and all that stuff. And a father who hits his child, he also has to go to jail. And somebody who runs over somebody on purpose or that, he should take responsibility. We're not saying that. But the fact that it happened to you is because the Rebbe Nachman did it. And we have to accept with Emunah. Otherwise, we'll never get through anything in life because everything will bother you for the rest of your life. Things that happened to you when you were 3 years old, you can remember. No, don't get rid of it. Use it to your advantage. How? Use the actual, what's really bothering you, which is what's making you go like that all day, and bring it to a source of where all day you think about something positive. Now, I don't know, but I know when I learn Torah, it's addictive. It's very addictive. I don't understand how somebody doesn't learn Torah. To me, Torah is chamtzan, is oxygen. If somebody doesn't have Torah, he's dead, completely dead. So when I'm having anxiety about something, I don't think about, people say, oh, it's because people say always, I hear in the world that you're not dealing with your issues. Oh, no. When I run to the Torah, when I'm having anxiety about something else, it's because I know if I think about this all day, it's not going to get me anywhere. But if I use that koach, that esh in the Torah, then I'm going to get very far in life. I'm going to be able to conquer something and get more and build my life up, life of Torah and Avodah. That is what Chassidus really teaches us. Chassidus doesn't tell us to do this, to do that, besides one thing. Take all your energies, even if they're negative, and make it positive. And it's possible, because you could switch your machshava. But again, not get rid of it. Switch it. How? Use it for your what? For your what? Your advantage. And everything, every single chisaron in the world, which gives a person anxiety and depression and anything, a person can use that if he knows how to, and use it to lift himself to such heights. What did David HaMelech do? What did Yosef HaTzadik do? Yosef HaTzadik, do you know what it says? I was thinking about this on yesterday. I was thinking about this also on Shabbos. I couldn't believe it. I said, his brothers basically abused him. They stripped him naked, threw him into a pit full of snakes, then sold him to a bunch of Arabs that I don't know if I've seen videos, unfortunately, in movies, and all these movies always see about them just getting raped over and over, and it says that Yosef HaTzadik was the most beautiful person, so I can imagine what people were doing to him. And all day, he is talking to Hashem, all day. You know what's even more mind-boggling? It says that there was 9 Shvatim, because Yosef was one of the Shvatim, Binyamin wasn't there yet, he was with, he wasn't part of it, and what? And Reuven left. So there's only 9 Shvatim. It says that in order to mechayiv somebody misa, in order to make somebody say that we have to kill you, you need 10 people. They didn't have a minion. It says, Rashi says, they included Hashem. Yosef HaTzadik knew that. Yosef HaTzadik knew that Hashem marked off, he's dead. Can you imagine God saying, I agree that you should die? And what? He says, I don't care. You can tell me whatever you want, God. I'm still going to serve you. And he goes down to Mitzrayim, and he's thrown into a pit for 12 years. What's a pit? Rashi says it was a hole in the ground. It wasn't today. They have TVs, and they have programs, and they have women around there, so, gives them a little comfort. The dentist, to be honest, there's a bunch of rapists and serial killers and magicians and people, sexual lust, who knows what. Yosef Alex is a beautiful person. And what? Shem Hashem. God wanted to kill you. Ki'ilu, that's what it looked like, because he signed off on his on his death. And he continues serving Hashem. And what? Yosef HaTzadik ends up being the biggest tzaddik. Shmir Sabris is all on him. And he's one of the Mashiachs. Mashiach ben Yosef. Who's the other Mashiach? Mashiach ben David. What's Mashiach ben David? His family at 3 years old, they called him a bastard, a mamzer. They said he's a bastard. Can you imagine growing up, your family abusing you day and night? His father sent him to the fields when he was 3 years old, where there was lions hanging out there, and he was 3 years old. You send your 3-year-old kid with his lions? I mean, what do you think is going to happen? And what? Then, David HaMelech, what else? His son wanted to kill him. The world wanted to kill him. Shalom Melech, his father wanted to kill him. Every step of the way. What is Tehillim? Read Tehillim. 70-something prakim of David HaMelech. Even though there's 150, David HaMelech didn't write all of them. If you look at Rashi in the beginning and the Radak, there was 10 people. But most of Tehillim, the majority is from David HaMelech. It's all about Hashem just giving him test after test, showing like, I don't care about you, David HaMelech. And David says, I don't care, Rebbe Nachman, you can throw me away as you best. Like we spoke about last year, but he was like the Orev, like Noach sent. If you look in the other Shurim about, but this isn't a Shem Spur Mises, but on the Spur Mises Shurim we gave, which we will continue as Hashem on Thursday, we spoke about this idea. What did Yosef and David HaMelech do? They took that pain and they threw it into they took that pain. What's pain? Ugh. But if you learn to take that pain and use that energy and use it for the good, who can beat you? Who can even come close to you? That's Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David. That's us. That's all of us in this generation. Like every one of you in this room, I'm positive, went through something very traumatic. Very traumatic. Like we spoke about, I'm sure some people have been abused as children, could be molested, could be parents, and nobody has to be embarrassed by it. But we have to learn how to deal with these things because each one of us have this trauma that's in our heads and we think it should stop us. Instead, we should take it and flip it around and use it as a tool to our benefit to serve the Rebbe Nachman and do what we have to do. Like Rebbe Nachman said, always use the energy of that Yetzer Hara gives you. What does it say? It says in the Pasuk, Roiges. Roiges is a lashon. You should be angry at Yetzer. What do you mean Roiges? Use that energy that Yetzer Hara gives you, that heatness. You know, when the Yetzer Hara wants you to do an affair, it gives you that. You see a woman. People they become crazy. You know what I mean? If you really think about it, it's the most stupid thing. Like Rebbe Nachman says, the most tipsy thing. Not because a woman, God forbid, a woman is one of the most is holier than man. A woman is the holiest thing on planet Earth. But I'm talking about the whole idea of Tavot. But if you take that heat, that you want to do it, and you turn into Avodas Hashem, the tefillah that you have, and the Shemona Esrei you have, you'll never have a Shemona Esrei like that in your life. Because you're taking that whole energy and you're switching it around. And Siyat Tishmaya, what Hashem gives you is incredible. So the people who suffer from all types of anxieties and OCD, which is right, what's OCD? We said it's just a merry-go-round, right? It's merry-go-round. You just think about the same thing over and over, and you think about the answer, and then on the answer you have a question. But it never ends. The only way to do it is to do your best, to flip it onto something that's good, and think all day about something that's good. Because that's the real way to beat the Yetzer Hara, and that's the real way, because it's all Yetzer Hara. It's all tests for the last generation. Before Mashiach comes to keep on falling and picking ourselves up. How do you keep on falling and picking ourselves up? Only if the same thing comes and it keeps on eating at us, Somebody turned to me and asked me, why is this generation special? What do you mean? The Holocaust was much worse. Much worse, excuse me. What do you mean it was much worse? I asked him, he said, what do you mean? The physical and the abuse and everything and the trauma? I said, you're right. But I said this generation is still worse. Why? Because Rav Nosson Breslev says, what's this generation? The gullus, the exile of the soul, of the nefesh. Rav Nosson says, the last generation, the gullus is not going to be physical. It's going to be people literally struggling to get out of bed every single day because of the Yetzer Hara here. Now, that's what it is. Anxieties, fears, everything. No other generation has there been such a need for psychiatrists and pills and all these things, and there's nothing to be embarrassed about. If people do go, people need help, they need to get help. What people do have to do is continue on their lives and use the koach that Hashem gave them to think about this, to use it in Torah, and to think about Torah all day. And if you think about Torah all day, I don't know, that's the point of this world. So what's better than that? And in the beginning, it's going to be hard, but you switch it. With Hashem's loving kindness and help, and even though sometimes it seems like He's not there for us, He's always there for us. And that's part of the tests. We have to believe in ourselves just as much as we believe in Him. Because if we don't believe in ourselves, that we have the koach, then we don't believe in Him. Because believing in Him means that He gave us the koach to overcome everything. And overcoming doesn't mean it's taking it and using it to our advantage. And each person has to understand how to use to his advantage. And that's where you go to do aspirers. That's where you talk to a tzaddik. That's where you talk to your family. That's where you talk to your friends. Hashem should give us the call to overcome all our traumas, all our anxieties, everything that we have. And it's okay to cry to Hashem. It's also part of it. But always to push forward and always try to use these things for our benefit. until Bezrat Hashem Mashiach will come and we'll see that it was all for the best. And like it says in Shir Amalos that we say before benching, Schoik pinu, schoik pinu. There's going to be laughter in our mouths because we're going to look back and say and laugh at all the things that we thought were hard. People will say, what do you mean? Because we'll see the things that it did for us. We couldn't believe because our minds can't understand it because our minds aren't on that level yet. But Hashem said, open up our minds to such a high level that has never been on this earth to understand the things that we've gone through. Why this one has this, and this one's children, and this one has issues with this, and this one has issues with this. They're all for the best. So all we have to do is continue every day trying to get up and fight it. And with Hashem's help, we'll turn it and use it for our advantage. Bezrat Hashem. And I wish you all the best on everybody's journey and everybody's fight. Bezrat Hashem. Amen. Shkoyach.